Missiles are raining down in the Middle East, and the friction between the United States and Iran is dragging the globe toward a breaking point. When these strikes hit, they send immediate shockwaves through the global economy. Specifically, they guarantee a massive, punishing spike in the price of oil. These headlines represent the latest chapter in a 70-year cycle of American intervention. To understand why we are here, we have to look at the original sin. In 1953, the United States deliberately destroyed Iran's fragile democracy, all to secure access to its vast oil reserves. The tension we feel today is the delayed fallout of a foreign policy that traded regional stability for immediate control. In the 1950s, the Soviet Union was actively expanding its footprint across the globe. To block that expansion, the U.S. government decided it needed absolute control over the world's most critical fuel source, Middle Eastern oil. Iran had a democratically elected prime minister who wasn't playing along with Western demands, so American and British intelligence agencies stepped in, organized a violent street-level coup, and orchestrated the collapse of his government. The architect of this entire operation was Secretary of State John Foster Dulles. He treated foreign borders as mere suggestions, openly authorizing the destruction of a sovereign state to serve American interests. With the democracy out of the way, the U.S. installed a brutal, pliant monarch. He violently suppressed his own people, but he kept a steady flow of incredibly cheap oil flowing straight to the West. By prioritizing short-term economic gains over the rights of the Iranian citizens, the United States effectively guaranteed a massive generational backlash. For nearly 3 decades, the U.S.-backed monarch ruled with an iron fist. The Iranian public suffered under a system designed to extract their resources, turning the entire country into a political pressure cooker. In 1979, that pressure cooker finally boiled over. Millions of citizens flooded the streets, overwhelming the state security forces and forcing the American-backed dictator to flee the country. In the chaos, Ayatollah Khomeini seized total control. He recognized the deep, legitimate rage against American overreach and weaponized it, building an entirely new religious government explicitly dedicated to resisting the West. This fury culminated when revolutionary students stormed the American embassy in Tehran, taking dozens of U.S. citizens hostage. It was a visceral, televised declaration that Iran was now locked in a permanent vendetta. The U.S. had intervened to construct the perfect, compliant Middle Eastern ally. Instead, that very intervention forged a rigid, deeply entrenched adversary that refuses to back down. The resistance movement, born in 1979, hasn't stayed within Iran's borders. Over the decades, it has evolved into a sophisticated, heavily armed military apparatus with advanced missile technology. This map shows exactly how Iran projects power today. Instead of direct wars, they equip localized proxy networks across neighboring countries. These proxies surround and harass American bases, allowing Iran to strike U.S. interests constantly while avoiding all-out war. The United States responds to these asymmetric attacks with overwhelming conventional force. They deploy massive naval fleets, fighter jets, and troop surges, trying to swat down decentralized threats. But there is no clear target to defeat. The American military is now permanently entrenched in a vast desert, playing a seemingly endless game of whack-a-mole against forces born from their own historical miscalculations. We are accelerating toward a tipping point where localized skirmishes escalate beyond control, pushing both nations past the point of diplomacy. If a direct conflict breaks out, Iran holds a devastating geographical advantage. They have the immediate capacity to militarize the Persian Gulf and choke off the maritime routes that carry a massive portion of the world's oil. Closing these lanes would trigger an immediate energy shortage, potentially crashing Western economies and freezing global trade within days. American politicians set this collision in motion in 1953. 7 decades later, the momentum of that single choice continues to drive both nations toward a terminal outcome.